Speaking of new Steussys, I just might say on behalf of Bonnie and Brooke and Jolly Sue and David and myself, how wonderful it is to be here and share this with you. And our sincere condolences to the entire family, and we love being here.
It's been great getting to know you all. You guys have been great coming here. Last 4 or 5 days. Yeah.
I'd like to just add to that in the 70s, well, first of all, my grandfather, Henry M. Steussy, was Edwin Emil Steussy's brother. Is that correct?
Yes.
And he was a very strong presence. He was the patriarch of our family. And in the 70s, when my husband and I were teaching in the newly integrated South, we made a cross-country trip. And we got somewhere in Indiana, and I said, you know, I think there's somebody related to me in this town. I've heard the name of, whether it was Newcastle. Where was Turtle Creek? Was
Newcastle.
That in Newcastle? Yes. So we looked in the phone book, and there was Dr. Calvin Steussy, and I went, he's the one. So my grandfather died on my birthday in 1968, and he was, in my family, an extraordinarily strong influence on my own life. And so we go, and I had heard Grandpa talk about Calvin forever. So we go to his office and talk to his receptionist, and she takes us into his office. Well, it had been about 8 years. I'm sorry?
Did he make you watch an autopsy right there?
But it had been about 8 years since my grandfather died. And I walked in that office, and Calvin turned around, and David was with me at the time. He was so quintessentially a Steussy. He was so quintessentially, not in personality, the embodiment of my grandfather at all, but there was that Steussy essence that had been missing from my life, and there it was, so alive in Calvin. And I think the thing, so many, you know, these tangential things, that the ripple effect in terms of relationships. My grandfather was not educated. He was educated, as he always said, by the University of Life.
Yeah.
And he made sure, he was so honored the fact that the Edwin Steussy children were so well educated, and he was so proud of them that as each of us were born, he put aside our college education money so that his grandchildren could be educated in the way that Calvin's children, or that Edwin's children were educated. And that was a legacy that he gave us. He also smoked cigars, and I wonder if that's a bond they had in common. So, anyway, my recollection of Calvin.
Anybody else have some thoughts? Because I really want to honor the time, but I think in honoring it, I would like to acknowledge the loss of Tim Salmon this year. And Nick is here, and I remember with our reunion last year, and we got this note from Peter that Tim had passed away. And I know that many of you may not know who Tim was. He was Nick's brother. He was about 47, died suddenly, unexpectedly of a heart attack. And we had just had this reunion, and it was and he did not come. But it's like all of us, because we had experienced being together, felt the loss so greatly. And I want to acknowledge that for you. It's been a really hard year.
Well, if I could just say a small thing, because I was thinking about that today, and I think this fits within, in Bali, there's a tradition where when an important person dies, they take them to the graveyard and cremate them, and then the poor relations all kind of trail along and cremate their bodies too, so that they can all rise together. So it's kind of like showing everything, can rise up, if I'm just very briefly want to say, you know, I didn't know Calvin that well, honestly. No. But what I know is his kids.
Yeah.
And particularly Chris and Ed. And they are a testament to you guys. Your children are a testament to the kind of values that have been spoken about here today. And the other thing I wanted to say very briefly, which is that thinking about Tim today, I thought about the number of us in this family who along the way got a little bit lost. And had to take a moment to fall down and get picked up again. And many of us, when we did that, came back here. And Tim loved this place, and Tim loved this family.
I remember.
And he honored it deeply. And so I wanted to say, Winna and I were riding in the car today, remembering our time as children on this farm and all the wrong things that we did.
Like bats, guys.
You know, the hayloft we weren't supposed to
Oh,
be
yeah,
in.
totally, but we're jumping off the,
Yeah, and the pigs we were harassing that we shouldn't have been harassing and that kind of stuff. And what a joy it was to be a child in this place and to watch the adults be so serious and boring and make these speeches that went on and so everybody here who's younger, don't pay any attention to us. But remember that if you fall down and you pick yourself back up, this is the place you come.
I think we're ready for dinner, but I want to close it with a prayer that my dad always said. If not, we can all recite it together. We know this. He said, God bless this food to our use and us to thy service for Christ's sake. Amen. I love
Kelly
you,
said
Dad.
it much faster than that.
That's okay. Keeping this many people in unison.
Yeah. All right. I love you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
What's your dog's name?
Soy.
Can you give me? What did you say? It's Saudi.
Skipper.